Weather Scope.
Another massive storm system covers much of the eastern U.S. this evening, bringing a cold rain to most areas, but peppering the northeast with snow and ice. Hello, I'm Rich Johnson. Also getting our attention at this hour, the wet weather in California. But we'll begin with the big storm in the east. Here's Janetta Jones with an update from our forecast center.
Thanks, Rich. This is turning out to be quite a storm system because it has so many different elements. We're talking about rain, sleet, freezing rain, snow, and in some locations we may even see some flash flooding. So let's get started by showing you our satellite view, and we've superimposed the radar on top of it. Tell you about the rainfall. Most of the heavy rain is right here along the coast. We have been looking at some heavier rain in places like New York City. So in the cities, New York City, Philadelphia, D.C., it's an all-rain event at this point. However, you move into interior regions, and that's where we've been seeing some ice earlier today. In the Shenandoah Valley, we saw quite a bit of ice. In some locations, we had accumulations of about ½ an inch of ice. As you well know, that can really do a number on the roadways and the trees, obviously, and power lines, that kind of thing. Well, right now we have quite a bit of cold air in place right here, and the snow is starting to come down as the rain is inching its way on northward. We also have some freezing precipitation inching its way northward and snow on into parts of Massachusetts now. We have live team coverage. Standing by in Worcester, Massachusetts is Kristen Dodd, and we'll go to Mike Seidel first of all. Mike, you're in New Jersey. What's going on right now?
That's right, Janetta. We're in Fort Lee, New Jersey at the foot of the George Washington Bridge, and fortunately enough warm air has been blown in off the warmer than average waters of the Atlantic that the New York City area, the boroughs, and out on the island tonight. It's a cold rain. Temperature here at the bridge now at the Weather Channel truck, 36 degrees, so we're going to stay above freezing tonight. That's good news. But if you're traveling out into suburbia, out in northwest Jersey, out towards Great Gorge, out towards Mahwah, if you're going up 17 into Rockland County, a couple of other roadways that are very icy. We've heard about many spinouts, the Taconic State Parkway, and the Palisades Parkway, those areas going up into the Hudson Valley and northern Fairfield County in Connecticut. A lot of problems with ice, especially on elevated surfaces. Temperatures out there are running between 28 and 32 degrees. And there's very little hope of any big warming there, so the ice will continue to accumulate overnight, and we're looking at a situation of ice and problems with power lines and trees. Again, that's in suburbia. Here in the city, it will be a cold rain tonight, but as winds shift around, we get colder air in here tomorrow. We'll likely see some snowfall. So the rush hour, again, right here in the immediate New York City area looks okay in the morning, just wet roadways, but coming home tomorrow afternoon may be a bit dicey. Let's take a look at the George Washington Bridge tonight. Traffic going in towards and coming back from New York City this evening, moving quite briskly, no problems in either direction. A lot of residents here hit the highways earlier today, Janetta, in advance of what could have been a very icy situation. But again, right here, close to the city, things are in pretty good shape. But going up into southern New England, we look for more snow tonight. Let's get the latest from Worcester. Here's Kristen Dodd.
Thanks a lot, Mike. That's right. Things are beginning to pick up here just a bit as the snow has definitely increased over the past half hour. A steady snow now, and also the winds are all picking up and the wind chills are dropping as we have been seeing single-digit wind chills, and those are even going to be dropping below zero later on tonight. Again, the snow now is beginning to come down in the parking lots and on the roadways. It's beginning to accumulate just a bit. It's kind of a wet, crusty snow, so a little bit of ice with that. If you would take your finger and write on the windshield, you know, it kind of sticks to it, not real fluffy, nothing really pretty about this. And that is going to be causing some problems on the roadways. We have been seeing the salt trucks and the sand trucks out all throughout the evening here in central Massachusetts, and that's helping keep the accidents down. But as we head overnight, that snow is going to continue to pick up, and the morning commute could be a little bit tricky. Not only here in Worcester, but also to the 50 miles to our east in Boston. It's going to be a little bit warmer, and so we may see some of that freezing rain set up. So as you're heading in from work, maybe from Framingham or Lowell or Lawrence, it looks like we're going to see a few problems tomorrow morning. Back to you in the studio.
All right, thanks so much, Kristen and Mike, for that live coverage. We'll be checking back with you in about half an hour. I'm joined now by Colin Marquis, senior meteorologist, trying to keep track of these storms because there is more than one storm. There's two.
That's right. We're dealing with the first one now, heading up the East Coast, Mid-Atlantic, now just beginning to affect southwestern portions of New England. That's going to be by the boards by tomorrow morning. And then another one, more powerful, but does it come close enough to affect southern New England later on tomorrow night. We'll deal with the first storm first, though.
Okay, we're going to talk about temperatures because that's pretty crucial as far as what kind of precipitation we're getting.
Sure is. We're looking at surface temperatures here. Notice D.C. all the way up to New York, no problems within the cities, upper 30s to around 40. Even Boston now popping up to 34. So when the precipitation commences in Boston, particularly points south along the South Shore down toward Plymouth, Situate, and on toward the Cape. It looks like rain, but in the interior sections of New England, temperatures still in the upper 20s, and in some cases, in fact, in Worcester in the lower 20s. So it will take a form of a mix of snow, sleet, and freezing rain in the interior sections. That's where the problems will be, west and north of Boston.
Okay, as we're looking at rush hour tomorrow morning, we're painting in icy for a good portion of southern New England and then interior regions.
That's right, and as I mentioned, the problems will be west of town. Now in the New York City area, now you saw with Mike, just rain, but you don't have to go terribly far to the northwest. Allentown, Danbury sitting there with freezing rain, but the nearer suburbs, Caldwell, have gone over to rain now, temperature around 34.
Okay, so rain closing in on New York City. Precipitation will be moving into Boston very soon, and the rain actually extending on southward towards Washington, D.C. and Philly.
A few pockets of lingering freezing rain in the northern Shenandoah Valley, and those will linger for a bit longer, I'm afraid.
Okay, we'll have to watch out for that on the roadways. Thank you so much, Colin Markey. And if you have questions about this storm or others and you're away from your television set, you can check in on the computer at weather.com. Now we go back to the studio and Rich Johnson.
Okay, thank you very much, Janetta. The southern half of this storm has brought heavy rain to many areas across the southeast, including Florida. Rain has been falling on the Sunshine State all day long. This is Plant City, east of Tampa. We had some relatively light rain in this part of the state, but just to the north, up to 2 inches of rain soaked the region. You can expect a wet night, but most areas should see nicer conditions by Friday morning. Well, what we have right now is our front to the west, up along the north central Gulf Coast. A couple of storms started earlier over toward Appalachia Bay and still have an occasional thunder shower out there. Over to around Memphis, a bit of freezing rain, occasional sleet in northern Mississippi with that upper air disturbance. And this is really part 2 of our northeast storm as it rounds the corner and heads up to the coast. Look at the temperature change here. And one thing you can't see, I was checking out over toward Meridian. It's in the low 50s at Meridian, heavy rain, but head over toward the northwest part of the state. It is in the 30s, in some cases up to around 32 at Memphis. So a 20-degree temperature change in a fairly short distance. Latest radar showing our upper air disturbance. This is it here, heading across Mississippi. This will head across Alabama, Georgia, then swing up and quickly catch up to our northeastern storm. And that is why it is going to take a while before it's all over with. Into the state of Florida, sort of wet still, but thunder showers out across Okefenokee, heading up past and toward Savannah. Here it is over toward Memphis, a little bit of freezing rain, and where the yellow is, that is what we see as sleet. So it's still coming on down. To the western United States, rain for the California Valley, and we have snowing very heavily at Hill Field north of Salt Lake City. In fact, the visibility was down to 1/16 of a mile for a period of time. That's just about 0. So it was really snowing heavily. Checking the latest that we do have, you can see it's cloudy across much of the west. Here's a storm well off to the north. First part of the energy from our first storm coming into California, bringing the rain. Then there is a break, but you can see the clouds increase once again. Into the northwest, just about over with now. Into California, rain showers heading down toward the Southland, so some rain heading down toward LA for rush hour. Into the Central Valley, rain moving away, but up toward the High Sierra, way on up, above 7,000 feet. That's where the snow is. Well, tomorrow morning we have the nasty mix of precip from Boston westward and north of New York City, and still into central PA, the mix of precip of that freezing rain and some sleet, occasional snow. Tomorrow morning, I wouldn't be surprised to see some sleet also mixing in up to around the Tennessee Valley, as well as maybe some snow for the mountains. As we look over toward the western part of the country, we see temperatures into the 40s and 30s, not terribly cold. Also, continuation with a little bit of rain. Here's tomorrow morning's lows. Cold enough across New England to produce that mix of freezing rain, sleet, and snow. We already know what the freezing rain can do, especially last week across New England. Into the Rockies, again, not terribly cold. Friday morning forecast, the big picture here as we look around the country. First storm making its way up across the New England coast, and what we are going to see as this storm will push away, but that second storm roll.
When you're on the go, get the Weather Channel forecast from these sources. It's the same reliable information you get from us on TV, prepared by our 80 meteorologists. And now your local forecast.